I often get picked on for being a Call of Duty YouTuber because of how many Call of Duty videos I make. Well, here's a couple of reasons why. I do enjoy the franchise, and it's kind of relevant right now. I kind of feel bad for all the people that subscribe to me for stuff that's other than COD content, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm in the headspace for Call of Duty content, so that kind of sucks. But later in this week, I'll share some Halo content and some Destiny content. So if you feel like you're getting too many Call of Duty World War II videos, I'm sorry if I'm contributing to that. But today I wanted to make a tips and tricks video that you guys watch now and then maybe watch again later when the game's coming out and you want a reminder of these things, and hopefully that equals me getting 2 times the amount of views, because that's what I'm all about. I am all about the views, guys. I'm a pretty horrible person. So let's go to my Google Drive here, and I'm going to pull up these list of 5 tips you need for Call of Duty World War II's launch. That's actually pretty dramatic. These are just my tips, these are just my ideas, so I don't know, maybe they won't even work for you, but I decided I'd come up with 5 things I think everybody should know before going into the game, and we're going to start with number 1 here. And number 1's pretty simple. It's use plenty of cover. Compared to the last 3 Call of Duties, which is mostly reactionary gunfights, you're going to want to set yourself up in Call of Duty World War II, and no, I don't mean head glitch and camp all game, but you should always try to keep some sort of object between you and your enemy. If you can keep a wall behind you, if you can keep a piece of cover in front of you, give your enemy the least amount of your body to shoot as possible. It's pretty obvious, right? You know, you want to use cover. But the second part of this tip is that FMJ is no joke. So when you see people head glitching or using cover behind thin walls, use FMJ on your classes, on the rifles, on the LMGs. On the SMGs, I didn't have like a really great experience with it, but on guns like the STG and the M1 Garand, I did really well with FMJ. I got a lot of wallbang kills. Wallbanging is back in Call of Duty World War II, especially since people are a little bit slower now, so when they start getting hit through the wall, they can't just jump away or slide or anything like that. And I'd say FMJ has been pretty much universally useless since Call of Duty Ghosts, so I recommend keeping cover between you and your enemy and running FMJ in case they're on the other side of that cover and, you know, they're doing the same thing to you. It's boots on ground Call of Duty. It's a lot of head glitching, it's a little bit slower pace. People want to, you know, post up, so you're going to want to plow through those walls and you're going to want to use them. So number 2 is to be smart with your grenades. A well-placed frag is absolutely devastating to a team, so you're going to want to go into private matches or even just do it in public matches and learn nade spots. A lot of people like the sticky bomb in Call of Duty World War II's beta because you just throw it and it explodes. You don't have to worry about it. But I assure you, frag grenades are more than useful in Call of Duty World War II. During the war game mode especially, but just in a match of TDM, a well-placed grenade can take people off of their spawn, it can dislodge campers. Grenade play is back in Call of Duty. You are always going to have a lethal or a tactical, or if you're using the right basic training, you'll have both. So make sure you learn where to throw them. There's great places on Gibraltar and Ardennes Forest where I got a lot of grenade kills, so I recommend learning those and just getting comfortable with grenades. And be smart with them. Don't always chuck them randomly, hoping for random kills. You don't always want hero grenades. The grenade is very useful, and I'm just basically saying learn how to use them and use them very, very well. Number 3 here is do not run around corners anymore. Now there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, use the gunslinger basic training so you can sprint and shoot at the same time so you can round corners. You are giving up a lot of things by running that basic training. So in case you have a class where you don't want to sacrifice, I don't know, the ability to quickly reload or scavenge ammo or have two grenades or 2 primaries, I'd recommend rounding corners carefully. Round each corner with caution so you can land the first shot if someone's around there. Do not just sprint around every single corner. You're not going to be able to bring your gun up fast enough, and you shouldn't always run the basic training that allows you to shoot while sprinting. Not every one of your classes should make that trade-off, so do not play it like Infinite Warfare or Black Ops 3 or Advanced Warfare or even older boots-on-ground Call of Duty games. I would just recommend playing this game a little bit more cautious, at least in the beginning of the life cycle, because it's going to bamboozle all of the really aggressive rushing players that are way too eager. So make sure you're not the one that gets caught sprinting around a corner. You will die, especially by shotguns. Alright, so those 3 are pretty basic, but these last 2 are a bit more complicated. Number 4 here is change the way you play. The division system doesn't allow you to be a god anymore. Do not fall into old habits. Do not play this like a past Call of Duty. You don't get to disappear off the radar, reload faster, have silent footsteps, take less flinch, see names at a longer distance and scavenge ammo, or get rid of those perks and have the ability to have 5 attachments on your gun. So I recommend playing around with variety. Each basic training, from what I experienced in the beta, I would say a good majority of them at least, were very, very useful. So I recommend playing around with each one. Don't just try to replicate how past CODs felt. Really play this like a brand new Call of Duty. This division system removes God classes. I'm sure everybody will find their favorite setup and every YouTuber is going to tell everybody how to play, but I'd recommend running Overkill or 2 grenades or the Ordnance. The Ordnance ability is great. You can get streaks so much faster. So don't play this like a past COD. In past Call of Duties, there's not a lot of reason to run an Overkill class. There's not a lot of reasons to run interesting setups because there are good perks and there are just decent perks. There are good attachments and then just usable attachments. This game doesn't feel like that, so really figure out your loadout and make sure each one's unique for different scenarios and different situations, because this game has a surprising amount of combat variety. At least that's how I feel so far. That opinion could change after I get more playtime. So basically, don't play it like past Call of Duties, treat it like a new product. And number 5 is be unpredictable. Now don't mishear this one, I'm not in the least bit saying you should run the wrong weapon with the wrong division. Do not do that. I'm not saying run the Mountain Division with a shotgun or the Armor Division with a rifle, but I will say this. If you mix and match your divisions and your weapons, you can really fool your enemies. Because when people see the Armor Division, they're going to assume you have an LMG. Infantry, rifle, airborne, SMG. When they see that character model, they're going to expect a certain style of play. You want to take that expectation and toss it on its head. Maybe use the Mountain Division with an SMG or an assault rifle. Maybe use the Infantry Division with an LMG. That actually really works out well because the Infantry Division, as well as it was in the beta, allowed you to move quickly while aiming down sight, so you could strafe people with the LMG and 3-shot them for days. And I bet it confuses people because they see that character model and they think, well, they're going to want to use rifles so they get their bayonets. They're going to see a Mountain Division and think they're going to want to use a sniper. They're going to see airborne and think they're going to want the SMG suppressor. If you toss that on its head and use basically the wrong gun for a division, you will fool people. At least that was my experience. If people would see me at an elevated position as the Airborne Division, they thought I was going to be using an SMG, but in fact I had the M1 Garand or M1 Carbine or the STG, and that system worked really, really well for me. Not only did the Airborne Division allow me to get to those locations faster with faster and longer sprint, I was able to then fool my opponents because they see that character model that's already in their head that, hey, that's the SMG build, and then they get hit by an M1 Garand and they die way faster than they were expecting. So this one's a little bit deep meta, this one's a little bit situational, but I think if you really wanted to fool some opponents, run a certain division so you look a certain way, you look like you're going to have an LMG, you look like you're going to have a sniper, and then toss that on its head. It doesn't work with every gun and every setup because obviously, like if you are a Mountain Division with an SMG, they're going to obviously see you don't have a sniper. But if you had an M1 Garand, maybe they'll think you're sniping and that you'll need a little bit more accuracy, and then you can just pepper them with a beautiful 2-shot kill. But for the most part, you're going to want to use the correct weapon for the division that you're using. But another thing you can do there is run Overkill, so then you can have a shotgun and an M1 Garand or a grease gun and a sniper rifle. So you could snipe somebody as the Mountain Division, and then when they come to find you, you could pull out a fucking grease gun and mow them down. And that kind of unpredictability I think is going to play pretty heavily into Call of Duty World War II. It's definitely going to show up in my playstyle. I'm definitely going to try this out, and I'll make another video about it if I find that it's useless, or maybe I'll ask some players in a game if that actually confuses them. But most people in Call of Duty, they just assume you have a full magazine, you're going to kill them, and they shoot you before they even think about what you have. But you might trick the occasional player, and you might get away with a couple of bamboozles. We'll see what happens. So anyway, my voice is dying, and I have to go. That's all the time I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys take a refresher on this video. So add this video to your watch later, and then when the game comes out, watch this video again. I think Call of Duty World War II has the potential to have a very interesting set of playstyles and tactics and meta to it. And if you just treat it like any old COD, sure, you might have some success, but for a lot of people, it's smarter to play it the way it is and not just rely on old instincts. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about Call of Duty World War II. Let me know what you think about these tips. If you have any tips for people, leave them down in the comment section. I highly recommend that. Share opinions, share ideas. I love that shit, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.